Hi Eva, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm great, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. We've had very major technical difficulties, but it looks like we're back on track now. So
We got
thank you
it.
very much. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're an
Thank you.
extremely busy girl, doing lots and lots of projects, even in the pandemic. But tell us about that. How are you dealing in the pandemic? You and your family staying safe, and how have you sort of adjusted in this period?
Yeah, I'm doing well. My family and my, good friends and everybody luckily are safe and doing okay. It's definitely a scary time and it's a lot of adjustment for
Yes.
everybody, of course. Project and work wise, I have been very lucky during the pandemic as far as actually being able to continue working, which I feel really grateful for. But of course, there's been, projects here and there that have gotten, luckily, nothing's been canceled, but I've had things pushed back to 2021. So there's a lot of that going on. And working on set is definitely a little bit different now than it used to be. But
Yeah,
I think we're all adjusting, figuring it
that's
out.
it. But it's been lucky for you because I've talked to other actors and actresses in the US, and they've just been totally sort of shut down. If they were halfway through a movie, everything would be shut down. So you've been lucky enough to sort of push through this better than most people, right?
Yeah, I feel very grateful. What happened for me was I sort of had some stuff already booked that luckily, directors and producers were able to kind of adjust and make happen despite everything. But I do, I realize for a lot of people that a ton of work has just gone away. So it's hard for sure.
Yeah. But it's now that it's sort of starting to change a little bit. It's slowly starting to get a little bit better, right? Like the studios are starting to open up now.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody's kind of, day by day getting back. Everything's coming back to normal. It took some time and it's really still a learning process. I mean, every time I go shoot something, I shot something a couple days ago and it's like a whole, it's just a new thing. Like, okay, so when do I take off my mask? Do I leave
Yes,
it on or do I let the makeup, person it's a lot. It's a lot to figure out, but I think we're
yes.
getting there and it's just an adjustment period.
We're all adapting and putting the masks on and being hygienic and washing the hand. But that's a good thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. I am all on board with that. Everybody, wash your hands
That's right.
and wear a
And
mask.
and and, and speaking of that, obviously you're from California. You're living in LA at the moment. So, um, like we were saying before, all I see on the news are some really bad things in the US, and I've been there a couple of times now. Really, really nice people, and still lots more to see in the US. But how is it over there at the moment? Like we're seeing like the Black Lives Matter, we're seeing the riots. Tell us a little bit about that, in your opinion.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. It's really important stuff. Um, I think, I think it's stuff that really needed to be addressed. I think it's issues that have needed to be addressed for a long time. And I try to look at it from, the positive. I try to always kind of focus on that. And I like to think about the fact that these are aspects of our lives and our society that should have been addressed for a long time. And I
Yes.
like that, in that way, I'm hoping that we're going to get to a much better place because they are being focused on finally. Not that that makes it easy, and it's definitely it's difficult time for a lot of people, but I'm happy that as a society we're beginning to really take a look at some of the darker parts of what have happened historically, and hopefully
Yeah.
remedy those. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, in Australia, if we don't vote for our prime minister, we get fined.
Oh,
Uh, you
you
know,
do?
a
Wow.
$100, around $100, maybe even more now. Um,
Oh, I
so
didn't know.
did did you vote?
Oh, of course
And
I did.
I do believe that well, not we, but you have a new president.
We do. I'm very
Maybe.
happy that we do. I did vote absolutely, and encouraged everybody I know to vote.
Yes.
I'm very happy with the outcome. It was kind of scary waiting to see what was going to happen, but I'm very happy, and I hope that we're heading in a really good new direction.
Is that official yet, or is it have to wait?
I mean, it's official as far as I know. Nothing's really going to change it, despite
Right.
people having temper tantrums here and there. I think I think we're good finally.
Yes. Yes. Well, let's hope for it can open up soon, and I can come back, and everybody else can come back, and we can get back,
Yes.
and we can find a vaccine that we can get back to a normal life. So let's talk about your recent sort of films that have come out like in 2020. Now you've been a busy lady in this time, regardless of the pandemic, as we were saying before. So the first one I want to talk about is The Swing of Things.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. When did this start, like pre-production, and was there a time gap there, in between that, and it came out mid this year, right?
It did. I believe it came out in March, I want to say, something like that. Maybe later, but recently we shot it. It was last year, so I believe it was 2019. And I was actually only there relatively briefly. I have, a few, like, it's sort of a small scene in it, but they shot the majority of the film in Jamaica, and then my portion of it was shot in LA, so I didn't have to go far. But it was really fun, actually. It was a great experience. It was fun to do comedy, and I loved working with Jon Lovitz. I think he's awesome.
Yes.
So
You had some pretty heavy hitters in this movie. Jon Lovitz, and like the people from Australia would definitely know Luke Wilson in some of the comedy movies that he's done. So, did you get a chance to meet these big celebrities, or were they still in Jamaica? How does it all work?
So when I was filming, the people that were there that day were just the people in my scene. So I was there with Jon Lovitz. But that was pretty much it as far as like the big hitters. They were all filming in Jamaica, and I believe they had finished that portion of the film at the time that we shot. But I was really happy to get to work with him. I think he's kind of a comedic genius. So I was like,
oh, definitely. The whole Saturday Night Live, and
exactly.
He's a funny dude. He's got a very
funny.
Dry sense of humor.
Very. And he's really sweet. He's such a nice guy. He has like a little rescue dog. I'm a big animal person. He has a little rescue dog that he brought with him to set. The dog ended up being in the scene in the movie, which was very sweet. He's a really kind person.
Now, speak about that. You're talking about the animal rescue as well. I do believe you have a little puppy dog as well. Is that correct?
I have a cat.
Oh, you have a cat?
I do, yeah, and I actually just got a kitten too, which I'm really excited about. But they're both rescues. I've always grew up having like dogs and cats, and sometimes other things. But I live in a relatively small place here, so I haven't gotten a dog yet, just so I can make sure I have enough space for them when I do. But yeah, I have my kitties, and I love it.
That's really cool. That you're doing that for animal rescues. That's really cute. It's I think more people should do that. That's really great. So let's go back in like where you grew up. So it didn't say exactly where you grew up. It just said California. That's a little bit vague. So whereabouts did you actually grow up in California?
So actually, I didn't grow up in California. I actually grew up in Arizona.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
See
I don't know anywhere online or not, but I grew up in Tempe, which is near Phoenix, and I moved out here basically after college and been here ever since. So
right, so tell us about Tempe. I'm sure to be super hot, and like is it a huge city, or is it like relatively small compared to Arizona?
Well, in Arizona, there's a lot of areas that are like really spread out and aren't super populated. But I was in an area that it's metropolitan Phoenix, so it's very busy. There's a ton of people. There's a lot of, I think a huge chunk of the population in the state does live there. Tempe is like a suburb of Phoenix, so we're super close. I actually went to high school in downtown Phoenix. It's that close. So it was like a city, but a little bit quieter. I always think of it as kind of a bit more suburban. But yeah.
And tell us about that, like at an early age, did you always knew that you wanted to be some sort of like a performer, like an actor, or like on stage?
I did, yeah. I was always really drawn to that. My mom was a professional dancer and she performed a lot when I was a kid, and I
Right.
always just kind of, I think I got that bug from her. I grew up doing a lot of ballet and different types of dance,
Yes.
and then I think I did my first theater production when I was like 10 or something like that. And I was just kind of, I remember, stepping out into the spotlight and I was like, oh, this feels really good. This feels like right. Like this is where I should be. So I
Yes.
always just kind of kept with it. And I went to a performing arts middle school and high school. So I was able to do a lot of dance, and then I transitioned into doing a ton of theater, doing
Right.
that. Yeah.
So is that something that you're sort of interested in the future to do theater? Like
I love theater. I would love to do that as well. I mean, I love film and TV also, but it would be amazing to kind of do both. I think at this, since I moved to LA, I've kind of been more focused on the film path, but I really do
yes.
love doing them both.
Yeah, absolutely. Like someone like Broadway or something, getting a chance to go on Broadway and do that, that'd be
I don't have a ton of experience in musical theater, like a little bit, but most of it has been straight plays. So I was never
yes.
like super hoping to do Broadway, although of course that would be like magical, but
Yes. And did you say that you did some singing, or like are you musically, are you good at music? Do you play an instrument?
I don't anymore. When I was younger, I did play piano and I played clarinet like ages ago. But I sang because we did have to. I went to like a performing arts school, like I said. So there
Right.
was
Yes.
a lot of like everybody kind of had to do everything. So I did do a lot of choir and singing and stuff like that. But that was never really my focus, although I did like it.
So your first performance on stage, you said that before. Were you nervous? Do you still get nervous? Or is it just something that comes very natural to you and you're just like, okay, there can be 10 people or there can be 10,000 people watching me?
That's a good question. You know, I don't get nervous where I'm like, really afraid or anything like that. I think I did to some extent when I was younger and just getting into it. But now I actually feel very like, I feel more like myself to some extent when I'm performing. I just feel really comfortable. And of course there's nerves, but like good nerves where it's,
Yes.
you're excited. So it's not a scary thing as much as it's just like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I really, really love performing. So as soon as I start, like once you hear action, I always feel great. Like I just, and any nerves kind of go out the door as soon as that happens.
And I'm always interested to know, like even now, like, is it scripted? Is it all scripted? Because I see some comedy, especially that they can just be off the cuff or do something completely different, and then all of a sudden it's like, yes, that's the take. Let's use that. Are you
Yeah.
someone that can sort of go up there and just go, okay, do that for 10 minutes, or do you have to have like a script and go do exactly as you're told?
I would say it's kind of a combination. I always, you always want to have the script and feel really good about it and know where you're coming from and who your character is and what you're
Yes.
saying and why you're saying it, of course. But it depends on the director and the performance and kind of just the vibe on set, who you're working with also. So I would say the lines are always kind of a baseline for what you're going to be doing. But there have certainly been plenty of times, I mean, probably in most films I've done, where somebody's kind of, just gone a little bit off the page, and sometimes it just works a little bit better, and sometimes you have to kind of find your own voice, and that might mean the lines change a bit if the director is kind of open to that, and some people are and some are less.
And talking about that, do you find, well, obviously you're an actor, so has it always been easy for you to remember lines? I mean, I try and do it for marketing, just an hour ago, and I'm like, oh, can we do that again? You know what I mean? So does it come natural for you as well? Like to remember the lines? How do you do it? Do you put them on the back of the toilet door or something like that? Or do you have any sort of secrets on how you do that?
Well, that's trying to think. I mean, I work on them like a ton. I have
Yes.
to know them like like it's a second language to me because I don't feel comfortable performing, and I don't feel like I can bring other things to it if I'm not off book. So I spend a lot of time working on the lines without even thinking about the character, just so I know that I have them. And I don't think there's really any secret. I think, it takes time no matter what you're doing. I've definitely gotten better at it because I do it a lot. But it does take a lot of time. It's not always easy. And sometimes even when you're super prepared, there's times that just blank.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you're human, right? You're not a robot.
Exactly. Right. We're all human. Stuff happens. Yeah.
Yes. So did you after that, did you go to university? Did you have to move somewhere to go to university, or was it in Arizona again?
Yeah, I actually went to ASU, Arizona State, which is in Arizona. It's actually in Tempe, crazy enough. So I did stay, very close to home. And I majored in theater and with an acting concentration. So I did that right after high school. And my plan was always kind of to move to LA as soon as I was done with that.
Yeah. I keep telling all the people that I interview from LA and that are actors and actors that I love going to LA, and you can just go into a bar and there'll be some people around you, and then, hi, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Detroit. Oh, I'm from Miami. And I was like, well, what are you doing here? I was like, well, I want to be a makeup artist, or I want to be. So I really, really like that fact that most of the people there are just going there trying to get a start there. I think that's really, really
very true. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody that comes here, for the most part, they have some kind of dream, and that's the thing that they want to do. And in that aspect, it is really nice to be surrounded by people that are super motivated and know, this is the thing I want to do. So that it is cool, and I think that's very unique to Los Angeles.
And for you personally, did you find it difficult to, once you finish university, to then come to LA and fit in? I mean, LA is like, you either love it or you hate it as well. It's not, it'd be hard to fit in from like a small city in like Tempe. Yeah. So tell us about that.
I mean, I do think it took me a while to kind of make my peace with it. When I first got here, I mean, I knew I wanted to be here, and I had spent time in Los Angeles previously, so it wasn't like a brand new experience or anything. But actually living here, I do remember like the first night when I moved into my new place, and I think I was with my boyfriend, and we drove, and we were like, okay, let's go get something to eat, and we just drove down La Cienega, and I was like, this is just overwhelming. Like, there's too many lights, there's too many buildings. I can't make a decision on food. And I was just kind of like, oh God, what have I gotten myself into? But once you kind of get over the initial shock of it, and also just the environment itself, which can sometimes be kind of, not always, but it can be kind of shallow. And sometimes there's parts of it that are a little bit ugly. So I think you have to kind of make your peace with those and find, your tribe of people that are the people you love, and the parts of the city that you feel comfortable in. And that does take a little time, or at least in my case it did. But once I kind of got there, then I was like, cool, this is
yeah, that's it. Absolutely. And let's talk about like your first sort of and now it says here, now again, this might be fake news, but it says that you've done 31 different projects to date.
Oh yeah, I think that is correct on IMDb. I think it's something like right around there. Yeah.
Yeah, 31, and it says here that the first one that you were involved with was 2007 Hot Rod Circuit.
Oh yeah, that was I think that was the first real job I ever got as far as acting, where I got paid. It was like a legit thing. It was a music video for a band called Hot Rod Circuit. They were kind of a punk band. They were
right.
Yeah, they're actually a really good band, really nice people, and I was like the main girl, the love interest of the band, who in that video were like conjoined quadruplets. So it's kind of a silly video, but it was a fun experience. I remember really loving that, and also I loved that kind of music, so I was like, oh, this is like so cool, and I was kind of nervous because they were older than me, and I was just kind of like, what am I doing? But it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, they're right. So, and if that was your first sort of on roll, I'm always interested to find out like how much you got paid for it. Like, mine was like, $10 or something like that. My first sort of job. So was it a big amount? Was it a small amount?
It was not a big amount. It was like it was a non-union music video. It was like a one-day shoot. I think I got it because I had like met the director at like a bar that I was working at the time, something, random like that. So I wasn't expecting really any real pay, and it was quite low, like under 500. It wasn't anything anybody got rich on, but it was worth it.
500, you got to start from somewhere. That's not bad for a first go, right? Yeah. I've heard some like $5, $10.
I mean, I would have probably done it for free, honestly. I was like, oh, yay, a job.
Yeah, right. And so I'm always interested to ask as well. Like, we'll go into your movies a little bit later, but dealing with like the pressures and dealing with I've seen on your Instagram, there's some comments and, you just, oh my God, what the hell? So how do you sort of deal with these, success and sort of people sort of wanting to talk to you all the time, and how do you deal with that?
Well, I don't feel like I get a ton of that compared to, people that are obviously working more of like a celebrity, but it's one of those things that you kind of comes with the territory. Unfortunately, yes. I try to be nice to everybody, but I have a pretty thick skin from being in this world, from auditioning and acting. And I think I've just sort of become a little bit like numb to it. I just let things slide off my back quite easily. And I just focus on the things that I want to focus on. I really try not to let anybody like get in my space.
Yeah, that's a good way. The good way to look at it. And going to LA, was it difficult at start to sort of get some opportunities? So tell us about your first sort of experiences in LA.
Yeah. My first probably year that I lived here, I did a lot of like short films for UCLA and USC, like student films, AFI, thesis films, stuff like that. And they were really good experience because they're shot very well. They have talented students, and it's good real footage. So you can, hopefully use that to get more work later. But I was very lucky in that I think within about 6 months of moving here, I booked a feature, and it was a lead role, so I was very happy about that. It was very low budget, and it's funny because it was one of those projects that like we did and it screened and then it just never came out. But at the time, it was just like, okay, I guess sometimes this happens.
What do they say? Go straight to video or DVD?
It didn't even do that. Like it.
Oh, really?
Kind of like we had a screening in a studio, and then it just kind of fell off the face of the earth. And like it's on IMDb, but I have footage from it, but I don't have like a copy of the full film, so I'm not sure. It was kind of an interesting one that doesn't normally happen, but after
that could be like a someone could find it and put it on eBay or YouTube and could be worth lots of money in the future. Who knows?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
but it was cool, and I got more work after that, and I got the scenes I did in that, and I met some really cool people on set, and it was a horror film, so it was kind of fun. It sort of started me on that path.
So talking about that, horror films, it seems to be your sort of genre, but before I don't think you would have done too many horror films, back in Arizona, right? So how did you stumble upon getting into this sort of genre of movies?
Well, I always have loved horror as a genre personally, so I think it was. I mean, I love all sorts of things, but I did watch a lot of horror, and I grew up loving it. So I felt like it was kind of one of those things where like the amount of time I spent focused on it maybe kind of brought it back to me. So it was kind of just, I did one horror film, Ruin Me, that did extremely well in the festival circuit. And that sort of, I think a lot of people saw that and were like, oh, you do horror, you should be in this and this. So, I was lucky to keep working in the genre, but it's also cool to be doing other stuff as well. I do love horror though, and I always will.
So tell us about that. That was a big success for you. Ruined Me in 2017. So how did that all come about? What was the casting process? And tell us about that whole experience.
Sure. So the casting for that, I believe, happened about a year before we actually shot. And I remember that I got a self-tape, and it wasn't actually through my agent at the time. It was like something I had submitted for myself, and I just got, a request to self-tape. So I did at my house, and it was on a cell phone. It wasn't like, yeah, you have to be doing it with me and reading the lines, but it didn't look amazing. I remember seeing it way later and being like, oh my God, the lighting is terrible. Why did I submit this? But I did that, and then I got called for a callback, which was in person, and that was, I think, a few months later. And I, at the time I did the callback, I had chemistry reads with a couple of the males who I was playing opposite, and there was like one other female for my role, and luckily I got it. And we didn't really know what was going to happen with it. It was an independent, low-budget horror film, but it had a really, really great director and team behind it and writers. So. Yeah, we went to Michigan and filmed it, and yeah.
Oh, right. And you got to walk the catwalk, the red carpet for this one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was the first time I think I really had to do that. I was like totally nervous, and I was like wearing heels and like, get me out of this. Like, it was fun, but I was ready to go home and put on pajamas and
So yeah, the first experience, like walking on the catwalk, so a bit of an eye-opening experience, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's different. It's not real life. It's fun.
So that's great.
It's tiring. What's that?
So you said that you had to go to Michigan to film that. Why was that? Was it because of the budget that you couldn't that you filmed there, or that's where it was set?
It was set there, and they had locations and everything that they liked there. It was a really beautiful location actually where we shot. So I think they made a good call.
Yeah, absolutely. And what sort of experiences did you get out of doing that film?
Well, shooting it was really, it was probably the first time I think I'd really gone on location for like a full length feature shoot. So that in itself was kind of unique, and just being like living in the world of this film. Like, even when I'm not shooting, I would go home to our little house that I shared with another female actor, and I think we were with one of the makeup people, and so it was like we had this little group, and the cast and crew. Everybody was really close, so it was fun. Yeah. It was kind of like summer camp or something like
that. Yeah. Yeah. And sorry, you were speaking about before about your management, and I do see now that you have 3 different managements now. Is this true?
Manager, and then I have 2 different.
All come because obviously super important to make sure that you get the right person. I've talked to other actresses and actresses where they haven't, they hired someone and on your bike. So how did this all come about, and how long have you been with these people?
Well, my commercial agent I've been with about 2 years, and yes. I'm trying to think how I think she had just contacted me off of one of like the acting sites, and she said she was, she liked my look and was interested, and we just had a meeting, and then I just signed with her on the spot, and that's just for commercials. So that's kind of its own thing. And then theatrical wise, I was actually, it was like right around when COVID happened, like when it started. I was with somebody else, and we had parted ways. And so I was kind of looking around for somebody new, and I ended up coming across somebody that's based in Texas, and she represents the Texas and New Mexico market. But oddly enough, we just had a really good connection, and I was like, I want to work with you. And she said, okay, I can also rep you in the LA market, even though I'm not there. But she seemed to really understand me, and I felt like we had a good rapport. So I just kind of signed with her like the next day. I tend to go with my gut on things, and it felt like a really good fit. And then my manager, I'm actually relatively new to him. We started working together like about a month ago.
Right. That's great.
That's new. But he's been wonderful so far. I've been with other people, but I really, really like him. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. And I don't want to be too personal, but was the reasons why you have this new agent now and management is that they just weren't getting you like enough work, or is there other reasons?
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah, the last agent I was with, it just wasn't like the right fit. I feel like he wasn't really able to get me a lot of auditions, and the ones that he did weren't necessarily exactly what I felt like I was right for. And I'm one of those actors that works hard on their own. So I was getting myself auditions and getting work through people that had seen me in other projects. So that particular situation felt like, it just wasn't quite the right fit. So we parted on an amiable note, and
Yes.
that happens a lot. You kind of gotta find
Happens in all businesses and all walks of life. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
So it just happened. So Ruin Me 2017 come out. It was a good success for you, and then after that you want to keep the ball sort of rolling. So I do believe the next one, and you may have done some small ones in between, but they said the next one is Death Kiss, which is also a horror film as well. So I'm interested to ask, like, I know that with horror, you want to continue to sort of do that, but the 2021 was a comedy. So I always give a good reference, like with Seinfeld, like the actors in Seinfeld find it very, very difficult to get other movies because they just want them to be like the actors on Seinfeld. They want to be George, Elaine, Kramer. So what do they call it? Typecast. So
right, sure.
Yeah, so I'm just interested to hear about your sort of thoughts on that. Like, are you happy to sort of continue doing like the horror, or do you want to go out and do comedy and do theater and do thrillers, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to do everything that is right for me and that feels right. I'm really open. I love horror, and I will always love horror, and I will always be happy to keep working in that genre. As long as there are good roles, I really want the roles that speak to me, and I don't care what genre they're in, as long as it's that thing where I'm like, yeah, this role, I want this. So I haven't experienced a lot of issues with being typecast as far as like doing just horror or anything, luckily, but I do tend to get offered those much more often.
But in speaking with that, with the horror films, there's so much sort of action involved in it. So how are you sort of keeping fit? And you're also like obviously a model as well. You've got tons of photos on your Instagram. So how do you sort of keep fit? How do you keep, because some people can eat a chocolate and so how is it for you? Just a good metabolism, or is it just good genes, family genes?
I mean, I guess it's kind of a combination of all of those things, but I do work out, but I've always sort of done it on my own. Like, I like yoga and Pilates and stuff like that, but I'm not really like a go to the gym and work out kind of person. I do like at home workouts. I'm totally a homebody, so like I dress up and do things, and then I go home and I'm like, cool, I get to hide from the world. So I do a lot of stuff on my own at home, but I try to eat healthy and all that as well.
Yeah, you see these other actors, they're 6 days a week on a full diet, and then one day of just
don't. I mean, when I'm preparing for a film, I do tend to really amp it up, and I eat really well, and I work out more than I normally would, but just kind of go day by day.
And with these managements as well, like, are they also booking like modeling shoots for you, or is that something that you just do in your own time?
Yeah, for the most part, at this point in my career, I kind of do modeling stuff just on my own time. I'm not like actively pursuing it. Sometimes I'll have a photographer reach out, or somebody I've worked with that wants to shoot, or like a promo for a film or something like that. But really, my bread and butter is acting.
Yes, absolutely. So it says here the next film that you worked on was Death Kiss, 2018. Again, it was fairly successful. So tell us about this role. How did you have to prepare for this one as well?
Yeah, so Death Kiss, I actually got because I had worked with a producer on it previously in a small role in another film, and he recommended me to the director. And we had like a kind of a little Skype audition, and he ended up offering me the part on the spot. So that was really cool. And it's like a thriller. I mean, it has horror elements, but it's kind of like an action thriller. It's loosely based on the Death Wish series. It has, an actor who has a striking resemblance to Charles Bronson, that the director found, which is kind of how this all came about. I play a young mother who has a bit of a troubled past and ends up, crossing paths with this gentleman who is kind of like a vigilante. And we develop a really interesting relationship, and it sort of changes my life and my dynamic with my daughter. It's a sweet story at its heart, but it's also very violent, and there's a lot of action involved. So it was a really fun experience. Honestly, I shot a gun in the film for like the first time in my entire life.
Now I saw a picture of you practicing this. So what was that experience like? And how long did this take? It looked like a lot of fun.
It was fun, actually. It's funny because I'm so not a gun person, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I was really nervous. But everybody was very patient and nice to me while we were doing it, so it was totally fine. I mean, it just took me a while to feel comfortable doing it, but once I did, it was kind of cool, and it was, kind of empowering. It was done very safely, of course, and I felt safe.
Now, did you have to go to a ranch to do this, to practice, or did you already have experience sort of doing this?
I didn't have experience at the time, but where we did it is a huge, like, open outdoor field kind of area.
Right.
So, and we didn't, shoot real bullets, of course. So I was able to kind of practice a bit there right before we shot. So honestly, actually, I think the take that they use in the film when I shoot it for the first time, I'm pretty sure that was actually my reaction having just shot it the first time. Because I shoot it and then I'm like, oh my God, and that's totally a real reaction.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe more in the future, more shooting in the future. You're experienced now, so.
I've had a lot of roles where I hold a gun, like, lately. Actually, yeah, true. I played a lot of villains lately, so I've had a lot of, holding guns at people.
Is that starting to say something, Eva?
Maybe. No, I don't know.
And then I'm looking down here, and there's a whole bunch of short films, but the one here that I was interested in looking at, it said it was directed by Jeff Berg. It's a short film on the quarantine this year.
Oh yeah. Oh, that one's actually, Jeff Berg is the other actor in that one.
Right.
Yes, Will McKim directed that one, but that was a very cool one. It was something that we shot during quarantine, and it was kind of done very safely and over the course of only like a couple days. But it's like a drama piece about a couple that is living together during quarantine, and as their world around them is very obviously changing with rioting and the pandemic and all of that, they sort of feel their relationship dissolving, and it's kind of it watches them go at the same time. So it's a sad little film, but
there you go. Romantic, another avenue into your career.
Yeah, and I actually worked with that same actor previously in a film that I have that hasn't come out yet that I'm really excited about. So we're together now a lot and stuff.
That's cool. That's great.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
It's all about, I think, in all businesses and even in the entertainment industry, it's all about networking and, good to see you. Like you picked up your first role at the bar, right? So it's all about networking, right?
Exactly. No, it definitely is. And you find, kind of a group of people that you like working with, and hopefully, they keep bringing everybody back, and you all get to work together a lot. So that is really fun when that happens.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about this one as well. I'd like to learn more about this one. It's called Cabal.
Which one is? Oh, Cabal.
Cabal.
Yeah. So that one was by the same director as Death Kiss, and we shot that a couple years later. It's kind of like it's got some kind of grindhouse elements similar to Death Kiss, but it has a whole bunch of other stuff. There's like ninjas involved, and it's a whole it's like a whole like 80s homage kind of thing to grindhouse films. The director is very, very big on that, so he really likes that. And I'd worked with one of the actors in that previously, so him and the director brought me onto that. So it was
Excellent.
fun.
So it sounds like you're keeping very busy. So who are like the, I know it's like a cliche sort of question, but who are some of the sort of the celebrities that you've met in LA? You're doing a lot of networking. For the listeners in Australia, who are some of the like the bigger stars that you've sort of? Jon Lovitz was one of them, but can you tell us some other actors that you've worked with or
Trying to think. That I've worked with. Yeah, I mean, Jon Lovitz was one of the big ones. I've worked with a couple of the Baldwins, not Alec, and they were both super sweet people.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think like I don't know what name would sound impressive, but when living here, you do like see people all the time, and I worked in bars and stuff like that when I first moved here. So I remember like being like, oh, that's okay, I'm making a drink for this person. And usually celebrities are like super sweet and they're just like everybody else for the most part. I do remember action with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He played Beetlejuice, which I love.
Oh yes. Michael
Keaton. Yes.
Go Keating.
That's what I just completely spaced, but I remember meeting him. We had kind of an odd experience, and he's just like a super sweet guy, and I didn't know it was him. And it was kind of like I wasn't that polite to him because I thought he was just some guy talking to me at a bar, and I was like, and then I realized it was him, and he was not creepy at all, but I felt like a little bit of a jerk.
Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't.
They'd probably like you even more than if you didn't know them, because I guess they're, all the fans are always sort of wanting their autographs and all that.
Yeah,
so
nobody wants to be bothered by that, if
you're
just trying to live your normal life. Nobody wants to be like,
Definitely. Now tell us, what do you have coming up? Like, what's to come? You said that there was you were working on a project that is about to be released. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I have a couple of things coming. I'm actually really excited about the two films I have coming up. I have one called Skinwalker. That's Western. It's a horror Western, actually. We shot that in July, like right when COVID started. So that was the first thing I did after all the madness, and I'm really excited about that one. It's a beautiful story. It's really well acted. It was really fun to do, and I'm really, really excited for that one to come out. I think it's coming out probably in the next few months. I don't have an exact date I can announce, but it should be soon. And then the other one I have is called Black Goat, and that's the one that I shot with the actor that I was mentioning earlier. And that's it's about an hour long. It's a part of an anthology series that's based on Lovecraftian short stories. So it's very dark and it's really beautiful. We shot that a couple years ago in Buffalo, and what I've seen of that, like going to do ADR and stuff on it, I'm just really, really excited for. It's shot incredibly, and it's one of my favorites. So really looking forward to both those coming out. And then I just shot part of a movie called Appetite for Sin. That's a vampire movie, and I just started that. So we have more filming to do in March, but those are kind of the main ones I have coming up.
Now, this has just jogged my memory, that it says here that Northern Fright Festival, you were a judge for this year, but you were the winner of the award for 2018.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. That was it was kind of like, I think right around when Death Kiss had come out and Ruin Me had come out too, and I got a message or an email suggesting that I submit for that. So I did, just kind of like last minute, and then I won, which was very cool. I love that festival. They're super great people, and they asked me to judge this year. So I'm in the process of watching a whole bunch of films for that, which has been really fun.
That's really, really cool. So let's get close to wrapping it up here. So tell us, you've talked about some of the films that are coming up, but what does the future hold for Eva Hamilton?
That's a great question. Well, at the moment I'm doing something unrelated to acting as well. I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm actually in school for that. I'm doing a
Wow.
program at the moment. Yeah, totally separate note, but I just got certified for that. So I'm working in a private practice with some clients at the moment doing that, which I really enjoy. I love helping people
Eva,
working.
you'll have to come back on and hypnotize me.
You got it. Done. We'll do it. But at the moment, I'm doing that a little bit, but acting is always going to be my focus and my passion. So I guess I kind of don't know. Just see what happens.
I'd like to talk more about this hypnotizing thing. How did this all come about? Is this something that you've always wanted to do?
Well, basically what happened is I always wanted to do some kind of therapy as well. I wanted to be like a psychotherapist. And I started grad school last year or the year before. I was going to and I ended up starting it, and I had a whole bunch of film stuff happening. So it was not really working out timing wise, but also it just didn't feel like quite the right fit for me. So I took some time off and ended up coming across this hypnotherapy program, which is the only accredited school for it in the world. And I was like, there's something about this. I didn't know a ton about it, but it just kind of spoke to me. So yes. I ended up doing it. I'm in the program right now, and I really love it. So it kind of fell into my lap, but I'm excited about it, and I really want to be able to help people. So I'm happy to be doing that also.
Well, definitely let us know, and we'll plug it for you, and have more people to come when you start doing it. That's great.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
Yeah, no worries. And another cliche sort of question, but what advice would you give to an inspiring actor? I've got some friends here in Australia that have done some small films, and they go to LA and they're just a little tiny little small fish in a big pond. So what advice would you give to like an up and coming actor? What advice would you give to them?
That's a really good question. Well, first of all, I think, no matter what, we're all small fish in a big pond when it comes down to it, especially true. In the city. So I think the main thing is, don't get discouraged. Keep doing it. Keep working on your craft. If it's what you love and you have to do it, keep doing it. It doesn't, if you're doing it to try to be famous or be a celebrity, maybe it's not the right thing for you. If you really love it, keep doing it. Stay true to yourself. Don't listen to anybody that tells you to change. If you know that's not the right thing to do, don't do it. You have to have a thick skin. Just roll with it. Know that if you keep doing it, your time will come, and it'll be even better because you've spent the time and put in the effort waiting for it and doing what you need to do to make it happen. And just keep believing in yourself no matter what anybody says.
That's great advice. And I'm just thinking about that. What does your mother and father think of your career path that you've chosen?
They're very supportive. I'm really lucky.
Yes.
They're incredibly supportive. Yeah.
And you go back to Arizona for coming soon?
I probably will. I haven't planned anything specifically just because of everything that's going on, of course. But yes. I generally do go back relatively often, and definitely for the holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eva, tell us about your social medias and where we can find you.
Oh, sure. On Facebook, I'm Eva Hamilton. I think there's a group for my actual acting page, which is Actress Eva Hamilton. And my Instagram is at Eva S. Hamilton. I had to throw the S in there because Eva Hamilton was taken. And I don't really use Twitter, so those are the main two.
And I had that question written down. I wanted to know why you had that S in between your maybe that I thought that was maybe like a middle name or initial for a middle name.
It's the first initial of my middle name. That's why.
Right. There you go. Because I think the first time I messaged you, it was like, "Hi, Evas," and it's like that doesn't sound right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. People are always like, "What is that?" Yeah, it's nothing exciting. It's just the middle initial.
Right. And I also see that I saw a picture you were promoting, and it said Slaughter Sleep House. Is this for one of your movies?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So Slasher Sleep Out is from Ruin Me. That's the name of the horror experience that we go on in the movie. So those were our promotional T-shirts that they for sale.
They're available still to buy?
You know, I think they still are. I'm not sure. I know they had them. They kind of sold out, and they had them back in October. I think they might still have some. I'm not totally sure though. But yeah, that's like the official Ruin Me shirt.
Right. And I've totally forgotten this question as well, and I always ask this one. I haven't seen anywhere on this. Have you ever been to Australia?
No, and I really want to. I need these crazy travel restrictions to calm down. I know, I'm dying to. I've never been.
Right.
So I'll have to come visit you.
Yes, absolutely. Come, I'll show you around. It's summertime at the moment, so you know, beaches, good weather, great food.
That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Had a koala, you know.
I want to see all the animals. That's like my thing. Whenever I go anywhere, I'm like, I just want to meet all the animals. So I would love that.
Feed a kangaroo, you know, they come up to you and they hold the floor and then they jump away.
I follow all these animal sanctuaries. I follow like a kangaroo sanctuary that's out there, and I've always wanted to go.
Right. Yeah, we have one in my city where you pay a small fee, you get some pellets, and it's like a farm, and they open up the gate and there's just animals just running everywhere.
Oh, wow.
You would absolutely love it. You can go up to the koalas and pat them and hold them, and they just want to go to sleep and eat leaves. So it's
that's so sweet.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it's a very good experience for the tourist. But yeah, make sure that Australia is on your list for the future.
Oh,
and when I come to LA, let's also a beer or whatever your drink of choice is. Let's do it. That'd be good to catch.
I love that. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. And to finish off, I normally just ask some, some questions to get to know you more off the topic of movies. And it'll be like your 2 or 3 top favorite things. All right?
Okay.
All right. Are you ready, Eva?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So tell me, you've been in a lot of movies, featured, short films. So tell me, what are your top 3 favorite films or movies?
Oh, like just in general?
Yes, in general.
Oh, okay. It's a hard question. I love Hedwig and the Angry Inch. That's one of my very favorites.
Yes.
The original Suspiria is definitely up there. Valley Girl from the 80s.
Right. Good choice. I like it. And speaking of actors and actresses, can you give me your top 3 favorite actresses and your top 3 actors?
Okay. Actresses, Glenn Close. I love Glenn Close.
Yes.
This is tough. I mean, I have to say Meryl Streep. She's brilliant. I feel like everybody probably says that, but it's true.
Yes. Now, speaking of music, can you tell us your top 3 favorite musicians or bands?
Sure. I'm a huge music person, so that's going to be tough. But my favorite band, one of them has always been Dismemberment Plan. They're like kind of a mathcore band from the early 2000s that I grew up on. I love them dearly. I love Radiohead. I always have.
Oh, great.
Oh, and then like once again, the third, I could go for Elliott Smith. I'll go with Elliott Smith.
That's cool. I think with like movies and I think with music, it's like it could change tomorrow, right? Like with that third
There's
one.
So much.
That's right. Yeah, it's all about a mood thing.
True.
You're talking about music. So do you go to festivals? Do you try and go to as many concerts as you can?
Yeah, I mean, if there's like a band or somebody that I love in town, I always try to go. I've always like I love music. I love going to shows. I'm very picky. I'm kind of a music snob. But yeah, if there's somebody that I really love, I'll I'll go out of my way to make sure I see them.
That's cool. And in terms of traveling overseas, can you tell me your 3 top destinations that you've been to?
Yeah. I went to Paris, which I really loved. I'd always wanted to do that. I went to Israel, which was really cool also. Yeah, I loved that. And I spent a decent amount of time in the UK. I really do like it there as well. There's a lot more places that I want to see, out there, but I have some family in London, so I've spent some time there, and I love the Cotswolds and London, and yeah.
The food?
I like the food because I like Indian food, so I feel like when I was there, for the most part, that's what I ate because I'm pretty much a vegetarian, so that was mostly
spicy?
what I ate, but that was really good there, so I was into it.
Spicy food? Yeah, spicy
I like
food.
Spicy food.
Right. And that was my next question, like cuisines. What are your top 2, 3 cuisines, food cuisines around the world?
I love Mexican food, which is probably from Arizona and in LA.
Agreed.
I love good Italian food, definitely. And probably like Indian or Thai. Maybe it's a tie between Indian and Thai.
Oh, yeah. I'd probably throw in Japanese. I love Japanese.
That's good too.
Chinese food. No, it's nice.
I mean, it's food. I like all of it.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Like what do you call it? A foodie? There's seafood and eat it.
Kinda. Yeah. If it's good, I like it.
That's right. And finally, last question: who is your biggest hero / inspiration?
That's a really good question. It's hard to pick one, but off the top of my head, my parents are really an inspiration to me, my mom and my dad. They're both incredible people that have done really meaningful things for the world in different ways, and they're definitely what I aspire to be. I'm very happy to be part of that family. Yeah.
That's a very good answer to finish off.
Well, thank you.
That's great. Your parents, that's really cool. I would probably say that too if someone asked me that question as well. All right, Eva, thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I know how busy you are with your career and everything. Make sure that you come to Australia when the whole pandemic goes away and we have like an injection so everybody can travel again. Yeah. And continue doing your movies, and please come back onto the show, in the near future, and let's promote some new movies.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. It was wonderful doing it and very nice to meet you.